Okay, space detectives, paranormal police, and quasi-scientific people that deny everything to do with life on their planet, you're all welcome. Now today we're doing a general update and a big thank you to everybody that's come along to my new channel, Space Detective 1. It's now been verified by YouTube after only about 6 weeks, which is really cool, really cool. Basically, you've got to get over 1,000 subs, which I did fairly quickly, I thought, but obviously that's a lot easier when you have a bigger channel, because you just send people over. So thank you to everybody that's come along and supported me on this. That was great. That means I've got a verified backup channel now. So the original content will be appearing on this channel very, very soon, in the next day or so. But check it out, there's loads of stuff that you may not have seen. This one's doing rather well, the toilet basin found on Mars. I found this years ago, but it never got any views on my main channel. And the weird thing is, some of these videos seem to be doing a lot better on this channel than they do on my main channel, even though it's only a tiny fraction of the number of subscribers. So that just goes to show that it helps to be under the radar slightly on YouTube now. I think my main channel is being squashed, as I think a lot of channels are. So there we are. But let's get on with it. It's a lot to get through today. Thank you for everyone coming along, and also thank you to the people that have made donations, however small they were. They are appreciated. Thank you very much for you out there. A few people have made donations, and incidentally, if you want to make donation, there is information about how to do it on the About page on my channel, or in the description. There's all you have to do is use PayPal. My PayPal address is there, and if you want to make a donation of a couple of dollars or euros or whatever, it's fine, great. Doesn't matter how small. Okay, let's crack on with this. I'm going to do a general update here. I'm also going to quickly go over this video I did a few days ago. This turns out to be more than likely a model. Okay, now, in fact, I may as well clear this up now whilst we're on the subject. This was basically an image that I picked up that was on Coast to Coast AM the other day, about a week ago. And I thought, wow, this like a Bigfoot, okay, great, really interesting. And there are some discrepancies which I did point out in this video, mainly the fact that the foot was the wrong shape, and that normally, I'm just going to let this play through a little bit. Normally this foot is hidden by a rock. Now normally this foot wouldn't be that shape. It's got this kind of weird flat downward curve. It looks unnatural. And there's also other discrepancies, the main one being the fact that there's this weird line coming across here. Now that had me worried. I did mention a lot of this stuff in the video, so if you want to check this out, check it out. But basically this turns out to be a 7-foot 3-dimensional model of a Bigfoot made by a company in the US. I'm not going to mention the company, I'm not advertising this or anything. Some people have said I'm not. I'm just trying to get to the truth here. This is basically a 7-foot model of a Bigfoot made by a company in the US, and here is a photograph of one of those models with this line coming across here, much like the thing I just showed you. Now, of course, these are like $3,500. These are really expensive. They're life size. They're 7 foot tall. They're actually made of some kind of plastic or resin. I'm not sure exactly what, but they're really well made actually. And it's understandable that if you had one of these in the field or out in the open, and you took a photograph of it from, say, 50 feet away, 50 or 60 feet, like that picture I just showed you, and then we're using not a proper camera, but just the digital zoom on your mobile phone, then it would look pretty bad in the image when you looked at it up close, because you wouldn't be able to zoom in very close. So the image quality, what's happened there is the low-res image quality of the image has actually blended a lot of this detail together, making it look more real, okay? And we couldn't see the join here, but one thing I did point out, if you look carefully, you can see the joins here. You've got one there, got another one here, you got one on the arm where it's been kind of put together, and then this part kind of joined on. So this probably comes in sections, and you they probably sort of clip together like a big model. Okay, so this is 7 foot tall, and and the actual stance of this thing is based on the Patrick and Gimlin original footage from 1967 and the shape of it. So it's a very good lifelike model, and the main giveaway is the reflectivity of it. The luminosity is wrong because obviously it's made of a plastic, even though it's been painted to look more like Bigfoot. The luminosity is wrong, and that is a giveaway. But of course, when you have a low-res photograph like the one I just showed you, then a lot of this reflectivity kind of disappears because there's no real detail in the image. Okay, but look, pay attention to this line here on the wrist where it joins the hand, and pay attention to the stance there. Okay, I'm just going to play a little bit of this. You can actually see that line there. Now, one of the commenters on the video did say it looks like he's wearing a watch. It's wearing a watch, and I thought, yeah, it does kind of. But I did point that out in the video. There's the negative of it, and you can see this line here, which is where the top joins on. But some commenters did actually say that it looked, and I thought this myself, it looked like there was an arm around it here. So there's something not quite right about that, but I think it's just the way the light's hitting it, and you can see the join of the top part of the model. Although there seems to be a lot more nipple detail in this thing than there is on the actual model, but there may be slight variations from one model to the next in the way they're painted and stuff, because I think they're hand painted. So some of this detail's painted on, but it's a very good model, and it is actually based on the real Bigfoot from '67. So there we are, and it does explain why the foot didn't look right, because this thing has got big plastic kind of feet to stop it falling over. Right, so that's that cleared up, and thank you to everybody that chipped in. It was great. We had people commenting. They were like truckers coming on saying they're looking it up on their truckers map and all this stuff, and there were people saying within hours people were coming up and saying that this is a 3D target used by the Navajo Nation for bow practice, for target practice with bows and stuff. So basically, it's a very expensive 7 foot model. There are links below as well. I put links to this stuff here so you can check it out. But thank you to everybody that did come along. A lot of you were skeptical, and rightly so. A lot of people say, wow, it's a Bigfoot. I'm always very skeptical with these things, especially when you're dealing with Earth-based stories, because basically there's a lot of bullshitters on Earth, as a lot of us know. And especially when you pick up stories from other sites like Coast to Coast and stuff like that, and they're not always reliable. It's not their fault, but basically there's a lot of people out there who are just trying to make money, and that is unfortunate when it comes to such things, because it actually makes the subject matter less credible, I think. But this is what happens. The same happens with the UFO phenomenon on Earth. Basically, there are loads of people trying to make money and headway and sell books on the subject, and aren't that concerned whether what they're showing is real or not. Which is why I normally stick to stuff on Mars and Moon and pictures that can be actually traced and verified properly, even though NASA do doctor some of them, of course. At least they can be checked and verified, and there's always a source, and there's a huge library of these things. They can be cross-referenced and checked with other images and satellite images and that kind of thing. This is why Mars and Moon stuff is more credible, and this is why the mainstream media are scared of it, because they know full well that these images that we get from Mars, basically like this one, which I published the other day, these images we get from Mars are traceable and verifiable, and they're not from some weird website on Earth where some guy's trying to sell you something. Okay, they're free to view for the public, free to download, and anyone can check them. So this is very important. I know that NASA do doctor some images, especially some of the Moon images, and some of the Mars satellite images have been doctored. That's been proven because they don't want us to see some of the structures that are there. That's the simple fact of it. And this is why we get these low-res images. It's very easy to make or hide or make something look less obvious when you're only giving out low resolution, small digital photographs like this. But this one's pretty clear. Now, this has actually made it into the press. Now, this is from the Metro in the UK. I have actually sent this article to loads of people in the press, but none of them have printed it yet. This one, I think they saw either my video or the video by ET Database, who got this up first, and they sort of hijacked the story, or they may have just got it off of another site. But basically, we have here, if you haven't seen the previous video, do check it out. I'll show you a little clip of it anyway. We have here the main image here, and this UFO just behind this ridgeline on Mars in Gale Crater. Now, some people have said that basically this thing is just a reflection of a bright rock. Right, okay. Now, this is absolute garbage, of course. There's no bright rocks in the area. The image is taken at dusk by the looks of it, or at dawn, and it's a very, very dark image, and there's no bright rocks for this to reflect from. And if you look at the ridgeline behind this area here, let me show you the folder actually, because I can actually show you a bit more carefully which details to look at here. Let me just show you the basic raw clip here first, and then I'll zoom in a minute. Basically, we've got the edge of Gale Crater in the background here. Now that's about 20 miles away, right? And there's no close detailed buildings or structures here. This is just kind of flat crater detail here, and the edge of the crater. Now, incidentally, this edge of the crater here is about 3.5 kilometers high. That gives you a sense of scale. And between this dark ridge we got here and that ridge at the back is about 20 miles plus. It may be 25 actually, from this particular spot. And this thing is appearing just behind the ridge. Okay, there it is. Now, there's nothing for it to reflect off. There's nothing bright here. It's all completely dark, so it's not a reflection. It may be an image glitch, but it's unlike any I have seen since I've been following the Mars rovers for many years now. I've been following the Curiosity rover now for 7 years, and the other rovers I was watching as well before that. So, you know, this is unlike any seen before. Let me show you a close-up of that. I've got the clips here that I sent to the press. Here it is. Now, here's a close-up. Now, does that look like an image glitch to you? Look at the shape of this thing. There's the raw clip. Here's the enhanced clip. There's the information. This is from Sol 2438. Now, there isn't much interference in this image. Now, let me show you a previous image of the rod UFOs. That I also sent this to the press. They wouldn't print this either. This was recent. This was back in May, only a couple of months back. And this was spotted by Terry Burnett. Very good spot here. There were two of them in images taken at less than a second apart, right? And in the top one here, we have a black rod. I've called them rod UFOs, follow Mars rover. Just here, it's about a foot long, maybe a foot and a half. And there's another one, same length, down below here, in an image just taken milliseconds later. Just here, right? Zoom in, you can see that there. Now this is pixelated, obviously, because these are low-res images. Now, but look at all the other interference in this image here. Now, this is what we normally get with these particular types of images, especially the Hazcam images. They show a lot of these little white specks everywhere. Now, this is interference. This is caused by radiation and cosmic particles and stuff like that on Mars. Having a thin atmosphere, of course, it's not protected from a lot of the sort of cosmic rays and radiation that Earth is. There is a magnetosphere on Mars, but it fluctuates and it kind of has hot spots on it. And so what you get, especially in these black and white images from the rover, is a lot of these little specks that look a bit like stars, but they're not. This is interference caused by charged particles in the atmosphere. And of course, because these cameras see partially into infrared and have infrared kind of filters and stuff, they're picking up a lot of this stuff. Okay, so these are hot little particles in the air coming from space, probably, most of them. You can see one here. Look. Now, they're generally only about a pixel or two across. And these are not the same. This is a rod, and there's another rod here. And what I think's happened here, I think there were two of them coming over this ridge line at practically the same time, and they sort of whizzed past. There is a bit of blur, motion blur in this one, not a lot. And this one here, if you look in the lower image, I think it's moved and flipped off to the left here, which is this kind of black thing here, but it's moved away and is facing away from us, so we're only seeing the end of it. We're not seeing it side on. So what the hell are they? Are they probes? Are there aliens throwing sticks at the rover or something? I mean, this looks like a little baseball bat or something. Really strange. And it's got this kind of thing at one end here. You can see the end of it, which is what we're probably seeing in this bit down here, just the end, and not the whole thing, and it's moved away. So they're moving around. There's weird activity going on by the rover. Is it being filmed? Is it being watched? Is it being monitored? Could be. Is it just interference? No, I do not think so, because there are too many of these things. And these are really interesting. So that gives you an idea of what the interference actually looks like. It doesn't look anything like this. Okay, now this may be an image glitch, but generally when you get image glitches, you do get them occasionally, they're black. You get a black part of missing data. So I don't believe this is just a reflection. What it probably is some kind of flying object that is hot. It's emitting heat. So the infrared filters on the rover camera are picking up that heat, which is why it looks very white. It's emitting heat. So what could it possibly be? I don't think it's just a reflection. There's no rocks. None of these rocks are bright for it to reflect off. The image is way too dark. It doesn't look anything like the normal interference we get, which was just like specks, like I just showed you. It's very, very different. So there we are. This is a typical article in the Metro, where they've actually had a dig at Internet UFO hunters take great delight in closely examining pictures of Mars, then claiming a misshapen rock is actually a relic left by some extinct civilization. Some of them are. Some of them are. Get over it, Metro. And they printed loads of stuff that I sent them, including massive sphinxes and other UFOs and things like that, statues on Mars and that kind of thing. And they printed them, and usually they're quite good, but they're going down this sort of route of ridicule, which I'm afraid most of the mainstream media do with this subject. And this is largely BS. And they just quoted some random person from some forum who said here, chances are it's a cosmic ray hitting the image sensor. It is worth pointing out though, because it does not seem to be your average cosmic ray hit to me. So who is this person? It doesn't say who they are. It's just they just say this. He wrote to some person from a forum. They don't even really mention the forum here or whatever it is. So that quote is just probably made up. We don't know who it's from. There's no source for that quote, and there's no name or anything. So and also, apart from this poll here. Which we got. Oh look, camera glitch, 60%. There's no comments on this anymore. Now you used to be able to comment on stories in the press, on their websites, but now most of them are shut down, especially when it comes to Mars and Moon stuff. So what's going on here? Why won't they let people comment? I mean, I was going to comment here and say, look, actually, you could have shown a frickin' close-up. I mean, they've just shown this from a distance, and it just looks like a little blob. Of course, but when you see it up close, it's very different. And this is how they censor material from people like myself and other researchers in the mainstream media. They never show a decent close-up, and when they do, they enlarge it really poorly, so it's even more pixelated. They're idiots. They really are a bunch of numbskulls, these people. Right, moving on to the next story. Japan wants to launch its first ever rover to visit a Martian moon. The first ever rover, I should say. And they're sending a rover to land on Phobos. This is awesome. Why is it awesome? Because I actually think, and many people think this, many astronomers and many scientists and other people also think that this is an artificial moon. Or at least it seems that way. I'm not going to read all this out. I'll put links to all these articles below in the description so you can check these out and read them yourself. I'm just going to quickly gloss over some of this. Mars twin moons may soon get a visitor. We've never landed anything on Phobos or Deimos, but we have taken pictures of their surfaces from orbiters around Mars. Now a mission headed by JAXA, the Japanese space agency, is set to launch a rover to one of these small moons in 2024. The final destination is yet to be decided. Let's hope they land near that the Phobos monolith, so we can get a close-up of it, and then put all the sort of criticism of whether it's an actual monolith or just a random rock. We can actually put that to rest and solve that problem. Okay, it would be great if they landed near that, but you can bet your bottom dollar they don't. Or what they'll do is they land near it, take a load of photographs, and then go offline and take some close-ups of the monolith, if it is a monolith, and then pretend there was a problem with the rover, and then go back online again, say a few days later, and say, oh, we fixed the glitch with the rover, there was a computer glitch or something. Blame it on the computer. Yeah, great. That's probably what they'll do. They've done it with Mars rovers, where they come up against some really interesting things on the surface, like structures and statues, and then they've instantly had a computer glitch, and the rover's gone offline for like ages. So yeah, right. So yeah, this would be cool. So I'm not going to read all that now because I'm already going on too long here. This is going to be really cool. Let me just show you some really cool pictures of Phobos. I've got a folder up here. I will be doing an update on this because basically I think the reason they've suddenly decided to go to Phobos and land on it is because of this. Okay, it's emitting heat. Now this is the current theory is that this thing is an asteroid that's been sucked into Mars's gravitational influence, right? And it seems to be made from material very similar to most of the asteroids in the asteroid belt. Now the problem is, if it's just an asteroid, why is it so freaking hot? Why? I mean, what the hell's going on here? This thing is emitting a lot of heat, right? It shouldn't be if it's just an asteroid. So there's something going on with this moon. It's very strange. And if you look at some of the structures on it, I mean, I've got loads of enhanced clips here, and these are really high res. Look at this stuff. I mean, what the hell is this? I mean, these striations here and lines all over it. I mean, it looks like it was constructed out of concrete, and it's got these kind of long sort of tether lines or whatever they are. I mean, what the hell's all that about? It looks like it's been. I mean, perhaps this thing was carved with a laser. Maybe they got some massive laser and then sort of fired at it and carved it out and made it into like a secret base or something. Some people have speculated that. I don't know that's true at all. But we've got these tether lines. Look at them. Almost as if it had loads of kind of long chains kind of holding it at one point, and it was being towed. And they've made these marks on it. Very, very strange. And you've got this, I mean, it's just an enigma, and the Phobos monolith has been talked about for decades now, and Buzz Aldrin talks about it quite a lot. Just Google it, you know, Buzz Aldrin Phobos monolith. Okay, just do that, and you'll get millions of results, right? So there we are. I mean, look at the details on that. I'm not going to spend too long on this because I'm just doing a quick gloss over today of some various stories. I will be coming back to Phobos and doing a full video about it and showing you all this stuff here because there's some awesome pictures. And now we have this information about them that JAXA going to land on the Phobos, and we have these infrared images. I've got links to this infrared stuff here. Here, look. on the NASA photojournal, and it gives you some information here. These are 3 different views of Martian moon Phobos as seen by NASA's 2001 Mars Odyssey orbiter using its infrared camera, thermal emission imaging system, THEMIS. Each colour represents a different temperature range. This thing's hot, okay? At least it's very warm, and it is way hotter than it should be. So there's something very odd going on here. And this is why I think Japan have just decided to land on it and send an actual rover to a moon. A small moon like this. So that's awesome. So I'll be keeping you all posted on that, and as soon as that mission launches, I will add it to my research app, my mobile phone app, so you can follow that mission and everything else that goes along with it. So there was that. So we've covered that, okay. And there's also this thing, the story I put up on Mars magazine here about Ceres, this strange, weird structure on Ceres. This is massive, this thing. It's a couple of miles high and about 5 or 6 miles long or something. I can't remember exactly now, but it's massive. They're now saying it's an ice volcano. Now, I beg to differ. It does have ice on it, of course, and is very reflective. But it also has massive square rectilinear and rectangular structures on the top of it, which I showed in this video here called Ceres City Ahuna Mons. This is called Ahuna Mons, this mountain. It's absolutely enormous on Ceres, and it's got some really old structures on top, and this video shows them from above. You can see what looks like it used to be a city on top of it, right? Now, I'm not saying it is a city, I'm just saying it looks like one. Doesn't mean it is, but it's very interesting. So that's interesting stuff there. Keep an eye on Ceres, because there's some weird stuff coming out about that now as well. So that's another in the news kind of item. Here's a picture of the 2020 rover, which they're now putting the wheels on. There'll be a link to this as well. You know, here's the page. So this will be going up next year. Of course, it's going to take a while to get there. I can't remember the exact launch date for the 2020 rover. This will have a 20 megapixel camera on it, the main sensor. That's way bigger than what we're used to with the Curiosity rover and the other rovers and InSight and that kind of thing. But of course, they will probably downgrade the hell out of these images before we get to see them. And we'll probably get crappy little JPEGs. Hopefully we'll get PNG file format images from this mission. If so, that'll be good, because you don't tend to lose much detail with a PNG image, because they're just way better than JPEGs generally. But of course, there's nothing wrong with JPEGs if you don't have the compression rate more than about 5%. But unfortunately, NASA compress them by 25%, and then sometimes they do that twice. So you end up with a piece of crap. So let's just hope and pray that someone out there at NASA is listening, or whatever. Please give us something other than crappy JPEGs from this mission. Give us pings or something, you know, or at least if you're going to give us JPEGs, don't compress them by 25 or 50% or whatever it is you do. That's absolutely ridiculous. Why would you bother? There's no need. I mean, the images aren't that big to start with, so why do they have to be downsized? It's absolutely ridiculous. So let's hope we get good images from the 2020 rover. That's my moan out of the way about that, just in advance. We've covered this. I mean, this was an interesting experiment anyway, and what it does prove is the power of subscribers and researchers out there who came along and helped me with this, and all put their opinions up and comments and helped. Within a matter of about 12 hours, we've actually solved this case completely. And between me and the subscribers and viewers out there, we solved the case. Now that proves the power of the internet and the power of communication and the power of YouTube. Okay? Now, perhaps this is why channels like mine and other channels, research channels, are getting squashed. I know I'm a big fan of Brucie's old channel, the Moon channel, and I know his channel is probably getting censored or squashed because he's got like a lot of subscribers, way more than me, and he's not getting that many views. So there's something very odd going on there. There's a massive discrepancy, I think he's got about 80 or 90,000 subs, and he's getting probably about the same number of views as I am, when I've only got 34,000. He's getting either the same or less than I am on his videos, which I find very odd indeed. And of course, another really cool channel is Mars Anomalies and Beyond. He's got about 50,000 subs, and should be getting way more views than he is. Don't know why. So a lot of us research channels, I think, are being squashed because they're scared of us. It's because we do proper homework. We can verify the images. We can actually give links to everybody so they can check it out themselves. And they don't like that. They would rather try and steal the narrative and then put out a load of crap about sort of like we get from like Corey Good and people like that, and Tom Delonge. Well, I'm not so sure about Corey Good, but Tom Delonge, he's a freaking donut. The guy's a twonk. He doesn't know what he's talking about. So what's happening is, I think the mainstream media are pushing the sort of CIA narrative of UFOs, and along with the sort of Tom Delonge crew, who are sort of who are embedded with people like Podesta, who's a very strange guy. I'm not going to get into all the politics of that, but I do recommend that also another channel called Dark Journalist, who has done some recent videos about what's going on with the US kind of UFO split and controversy. There's some weird legal action going on there, I don't know, but his recent video goes into depth about how some of these groups have been taken over by ex-people from the CIA and the counterintelligence services in America. You know, these people are trying to take over the subject, okay? Because they're probably going to try and use it to scare people in some way, or start an incident somewhere or something. There's something weird going on, and the mainstream media will not print hardly anything unless it's to do with that particular group of people. So there's something very odd going on there. So that's about it for that, really. So do check out this video. I mean, this is a very strange, bright, extremely bright object, which it seems to be emitting heat, which is why it's this bright white colour. It's hot. This is not just a reflection. This is heat signature we're seeing here. These cameras see into infrared, near infrared at least. They're not pure infrared, but they do gather infrared information, which is why they pick up stuff like this. Okay, now I don't know how far away this thing is, don't know how far away from the camera this was, but it seems to me that it's beyond this, just beyond this ridgeline here in the distance, which is probably only about 100 feet, 50 to 100 feet away, that ridgeline. So it could be it could be a quarter of a mile away, it could be 10 miles away. Like I said, the ridgeline behind is something in the realms of 25 miles away. So this thing could be massive, but it might not be. It might only be a few feet across, like those 1 or 2 feet across, like the rod UFOs I showed you a minute ago. So there we are. I mean, I've done some effects on it here just to show the shape of it a bit more carefully, so you can see it. Very strange indeed, and it's got some sort of symmetry to it. It's got like a spinning top shape, although it's longer at this side here. Very similar, in fact, and some people did point this out in comments, very similar to some of the UFOs that have been spotted near the sun. Some of the massive solar UFOs that have been spotted in recent years near the sun. Very strange. Look at this thing sticking down here. Now, how would if this was just a cosmic ray or image glitch, I would expect there to be a much more, just a blob or a square. If it was missing data, it'd be a square block. Okay. So what is it? There we are. So thanks for watching, everybody. That's already gone on too long, I think, already. I think I've covered about everything I was going to cover today. I will be coming back to Phobos, like I said. Thank you all, as I said before, for coming along to my new channel, and those people that did make small donations. It's very welcome and very helpful. Thank you very much. I won't be going back to Bigfoot again because this has taught me a valuable lesson that you really cannot trust photographs that are taken on Earth on mobile phones or anything, because they're not verifiable and people lie about stuff. And who was to know that there was a company making really high quality 7-foot models of Bigfoot for people to shoot at. So there we are. So thank you to everyone that helped out with that case. Problem solved, case solved. I've changed the name of the video now, so it says is 3D model in the title. And I've also updated the information. I've taken a lot of the memes down off the internet as well, because I thought it's just going to mislead people, which I do not want to do. So there we are, case solved. Thank you for everyone who helped with that and everything else. Please give the thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. See you soon.